So once again, tonight we'll look at what Nisargadatta has to say. Well, I'll start and then I'll explain as we move along. The questioner says, what does it mean to fail in yoga? Who is a failure in yoga? Now, what he means by yoga here is the yoking or the joining of this individual limited consciousness, this ego, this me, with the larger, unlimited, universal, absolute consciousness. So the ego is limited, right? The me, the ego, is limited to this body-mind. And that's what we take ourselves to be, this limited consciousness. But in fact, if you just look at your own experience, I can't be that which I can see. So if I can see this body, if I can see these thoughts, if I can see the feelings, if I can see the sensations, then how could I possibly be those things? Because otherwise I couldn't see them. So if I'm not the body, and I'm not the mind with all the thoughts and the feelings and the fears and the worries, I'm not the mind, I'm not the sensations, then what am I? What am I? And am I this limited, restricted awareness, consciousness? And what comes first? Awareness, and then the body appears? Or is it the body and then awareness appears? Well, from our own experience, awareness appears first. When you wake up in the morning, before a thought passes across your brain, there is awareness. A second later, there's an awareness of the body. There's an awareness of the thoughts. There's awareness of the feelings. Awareness comes first. So then what am I? Am I then this awareness, this witnessing awareness, this witnessing consciousness? That's how it seems to be. And is it limited? Or is it unlimited? And do all bodies, all persons, all planets, all countries, do they all appear in this awareness? So then it isn't even personal. It's not my awareness. It's universal awareness. Because you're all experiencing the same thing. Now, the content of that consciousness is different based on our different conditioning. You grew up in one kind of home, I grew up in another kind of home. You learned one set of beliefs, you learned other sets of beliefs. So the thoughts that pass through your consciousness are different based on your conditioning. But the awareness that's witnessing those thoughts is the same awareness. So that means that we're not even separate from each other. We are one consciousness, one awareness, one reality, because there's something else. Another question we have: what is it in me that never changes? Because thoughts change, feelings change, the body for sure changes. What doesn't change? What has never changed? Whether you were 3 or 23 or 33 or 63 or 103, what has never changed? That awareness. That awareness never changed. So then what am I? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. That's the investigation we need to make. Why? Because we know that believing and holding on to the idea that I am this separate, isolated entity, me, causes nothing but suffering. Yes, there's moments of happiness and joy, for sure. But they're fleeting. They change, they leave. But is there a happiness that doesn't leave? That's not transient, that keeps changing. Is there happiness, joy, in just being and not needing any object to stimulate that sense of happiness? Well, if just being means not just being this isolated me, because the isolated me is isolated, feels separate from all the other me's. And that causes us pain. The pain of loneliness, the pain of sorrow, the pain of emptiness, the pain of constantly searching for happiness, for some joy. The pain of seeing other people suffering from their me's. So let's see what he says here. He says, to answer that question is, can you fail in this? It is only a question of incompletion. He who could not complete his yoga for some reason is called failed in yoga. Such failure is only temporary, for there can be no defeat in yoga. The battle is always won, for it is a battle between the true and the false, and the false has no chance. He's saying this me is a false self. It's the false I. The real I is that unlimited awareness, that witnessing consciousness that you are. Questioner: well, who is it that fails, the person or the self? The self being the absolute higher consciousness. Nisargadatta, the question is wrongly put. There is no question of failure, neither in the short run nor in the long. It is like traveling a long and arduous road in an unknown country. Of all the innumerable steps, there is only the last which brings you to your destination. Yet you will not consider all previous steps as failures. Each brought you nearer to your goal, even when you had to turn back and to bypass an obstacle. In reality, each step brings you to your goal. Because to be always on the move, learning, discovering, unfolding, is your eternal destiny. Living is life's only purpose. Living is life's only purpose. What'd you say to that?
Well, clearly, though, he means living freely.
Of course.
We're all living. The question is, what's the quality of our lived everyday experience?
And also, maybe I don't have to become anything. Right? Maybe I just have to be.
There's no operating manual for that unless you are a meditative researcher. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like a rabble-rousing call to.
Oh, that's,
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
It's sort of a lackluster admonition. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
If it was a headline in an ad,
Yeah.
you would sell none of this stuff.
Yeah.
Also, you wouldn't know what it was for, or why should you be using it?
Yes.
And if someone convinced you needed it, they would be lying to you.
Yes.
It's a problem.
Yes. And that's because we've been conditioned to not just to be and to fully be. Because we think if we allow ourselves to fully be present, to just be, without having to be this or that, without having to be famous or rich or beautiful, or just to be, we think we wouldn't do anything. What would we do? We'd sit around. But that isn't true. Because as he said in the sentence before, being on the move, learning, discovering, unfolding is our natural way of being. You can't help but unfold. And then you'll be called. So someone will be called to play the piano or the guitar, some will play, some will paint, some will plant trees, some will cook, some will teach, some will discover planets. Each will do what was called to do. Because the universe is one, consciousness is one, and we are only instruments through which it streams. But we don't trust that and we don't believe that because we haven't been conditioned like that.
Well, also Hitler existed. So how do we explain the wholeness of things when we're making a judgment rather than looking like you were talking about last week, or Eckhart Tolle was in my car, about looking at something accurately without placing a judgment on it?
Ah, well that's it. Well that's living.
But how can someone tell you not to place a judgment on the Holocaust? You know?
Okay, but wait.
This is not my argument. This
Yes,
is
no.
argument.
That's right. Listen, horrible things have happened and are happening right now. They never cease to happen. And can we explain it? I don't know if we can explain it, but maybe we don't have to explain it. Maybe the only thing that we can do is be. Be instruments of peace, of openness, of wisdom. Maybe that's all we can do. Maybe that's what's meant by life's only purpose is living, but living as an open, not isolated entity. Then at least we will not be the cause of someone's suffering, because we will have ended suffering inside ourselves.
Where would like Arjuna and Krishna fit into that? You know, when Krishna's talking to Arjuna and he has to go to battle,
That's right.
and he's like, I don't wanna.
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
killing these people and my cousins, my teachers,
That's
my
right.
family. And Arjuna says, just right action. There is no
That's right. That's right.
death, but there's a call for right action
Yes.
as a in a spiritual
That's
existence. So just being would seem to be counter to right action, the concept of right action in a way, or would right action just automatically be if you're being?
Of course, being doesn't mean not acting.
And so in reference
Being
to the
doesn't
Hitler
mean that
thing, you might be hard to explain, but you could at least fight it. You wouldn't be wrong to fight evil
Okay, yes, but you
if
see.
you were being.
Yes, but you see, Arjuna and what Krishna's teaching Arjuna is about the battle inside. It's looking like the battle outside, but it's the battle inside. And Hitler is inside us as well. That's where we have to stop it here, inside.
So that's how we explain the Hitler thing then, right?
We have to see it inside ourselves and end it inside ourselves. That's where we have to go with it.
So I'm still a little bit confused about where right action comes in then. Because
Right?
there is an action implied, and seeing it inside ourselves to me doesn't imply an action in a way.
Okay.
Maybe it's the beginning of a right action is seeing it inside ourselves. But
Okay. But right action is sane action. Right action is immediate action. And when you see something that needs immediate action, you act. What stops right action are the thoughts. Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. Or maybe I shouldn't help. Or maybe I shouldn't stop this. The thoughts. And the thoughts are the me. That's what prevents right action in ourselves and in others. The me prevents it. So when we have eliminated the me, there's right action.
And could sometimes right action be non-action?
And sometimes right action is non-action. That's right. Sometimes right action is non-action. But being doesn't mean not acting. The self, the me, does not identify. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Here he's talking about the self, actually the capital A. S does not identify itself with success or failure. The very idea of becoming this or that is unthinkable. The self, the non-limited self, understands that success and failure are relative and related, that they are the very walk and woof of life. Learn from both and go beyond. If you have not learned, repeat. What am I to learn? To live without self-concern. For this you must know your own true being as indomitable, fearless, ever victorious. Once you know with absolute certainty that nothing can trouble you but your own imagination, you come to disregard your desires and fears, concepts and ideas, and live by truth alone. Once you know with absolute certainty that nothing can trouble you but your own imagination. Right? The me, with all its thoughts about what's gonna be, what was, right? All the images, the imagination, all the images. There's nothing can trouble you but that.
It's interesting. You're supposed to state, like when you have a YouTube channel, for example, what do you stand for? Who are you, right? And the last couple of days I came up with this, I am spirit, having a human experience.
And what typically moves along the lines of our imagination, just to go back to the right action thing. We were talking about Krishnamurti before. It was Krishnamurti who spoke a lot about right action. And he said what gets in the way of right action via the imagination, not creative imagination, but self-imagination, is self-interest, self-protection, and self-expansion, right? So in any moment that you encounter a situation that would call for right action, the thing that would get in the way of your holistically, organically responding in an open-hearted way would be self-interest. Well, it's not going to pay me anything, why should I do it? Self-protection, it might put me in danger, either literally or with my image, or it won't elevate me, right? So those are the kind of egoistic calculations we do that block the impulse for right action, for compassionate caring, for selfless being. Selflessness.
So, once you know with absolute certainty that nothing can trouble you but your own imagination, you come to disregard your desires and fears. What does that mean? We see them arise. Desires, fears. We see them arise. And we don't give attention. We don't give them life. Certainly with fears, if we don't give them life, they lose their impact.
Give them energy.
Diminish.
Yeah, if you give them energy.
You don't give them energy, you don't give them life. And with desires, and people don't want their desires taken away. But we have to look and see what is it that is being desired. Right? Because that can be a trap. And who is it that's desiring? Right? Who is it? And what is it? Now something may come to you and say, this is something I need to do, or I feel I wish to do. And it's effortless, and you do it. And it's not for those reasons that Paul was just saying. Self-interest, self-protection, self-expansion. More in keeping to the point of what Nisargadatta said before, as a learning and an unfolding. So that's something you might follow. But to really be free of desires and fears is being free of ego, of the me. So what do we do? Right now, what we do is we witness when they appear. They appear. It's an appearance in your awareness. And we witness it. And wherever possible, we let go.
I think personally speaking, the hardest part for me in this journey is to catch the negative thought.
Yeah.
To become aware of what my thoughts are. I mean, I don't know if that's being so roboticized or if it's just decades of indoctrination. Because this sounds so simple and effective, yet to catch it and say, who's running who here? And breaking that long-term
Yes.
pattern
Yes.
is tricky.
And it's, I was sort of having the same thought today, because and maybe this is what sort of unfolding, I don't know, is that now our awareness has been raised by this whole experience, right? But now your ego's even more threatened,
That's right.
because, wait a minute, you're actually looking at me and examining,
Yes.
right? And it's almost like it fears discovery or something.
Yes.
It fears that you're gonna be, if you shine the light on me, all of a sudden I'm going to disappear, or, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, you're going through this experience, and it's
That's
hard to kind of
That's right.
let go of who you are,
Yes.
because
Yes.
you know, you're afraid you're gonna lose yourself, right? You
Yes.
so identify with that you might just go into.
Yeah, it prevents unfolding,
Yeah.
because it like wants to cement you
Yeah,
into
Yes.
whatever image you have of yourself.
Right, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right. So at those moments, first of all, the fact that you're able to witness it means that you've already been out of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it. Right? So now for a second, you're out of it because you're seeing it. That's important. The other thing is, now comes the question, well, what am I? Because if I am the unlimited awareness, then what is it that's appearing here? What is it that's afraid to let go? What reality does that have? I know I've never changed. But that I've just witnessed, bringing a negative thought, pulling up a negative image, projecting something into the future, that's causing, all this is causing fear. Is that real? I know that's going to pass.
But these are two important observations. So yes, if you don't remember to watch, you get lost in automatic thought, right? So it's one of those things that is simple but not easy, because we're so conditioned to be on automatic, right? So it's like you got to get up every morning and remind yourself, stay awake, watch out for the me. So when I don't see it immediately arising, and I see it after I'm all involved with my personal drama, at some point the light goes on and says, oh look, I'm lost in that train again. Then I can let it go and not judge myself, not be critical, but look as soon as I see as soon as I look. As soon as I notice it, I can let it go. But you're saying, Fred, something else. You're saying that when you see it, there's the ego has a reaction?
Yes.
It kicks back.
It kicks back. It's like,
What does it say?
it says, it's more like a fear of exposure, right? That you're going to a place that you, now, if it's like shining a light on something that is going to wither in the light, right? So I think we're afraid of losing that which we've become all our lives,
Yes.
right? And So we hold on to it even that much more tightly when you start to examine. When you get that moment when you're looking inward,
Yes,
you're
Yes.
resistant, if you will, right? Or fearful of that change.
I couldn't concentrate because I was having so many murderous thoughts about burning down CBS. They keep leaving these messages and I go in there and I say, what do you have for me? We don't have anything for you. They keep leaving me these messages.
So your part of it was getting those
So
murderous
I got lost in my train.
We'll have to rewind the tape.
I lost it too. Keep the whole thing.
So Fred, you'll have to repeat from lower the volume.
We needed a good laugh, this is the way we could get it, see?
I know I'm on it, it disappears, and it doesn't want to, so it tries to deflect the light somehow.
Right, it's afraid.
It's
that-
terrified.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't notice me, don't notice me.
Yeah. Go back.
Let's replay it.
so you were saying that it kicks back because there's a fear of now dissolving.
Exactly. Well, you've raised a whole nother level of awareness, and in raising awareness,
Yes.
you've shined light on all those things that your ego holds tightly.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
I'm not going to be able to do these things I desire to do, or I'm not going to be able to protect this that I hold on to tightly.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
So,
yes.
But it comes and goes, right? You spend that
Right.
time, and it's like, okay, and then you get on to something else, but it's just a little
Yes.
unsettling. But I'm
Yes.
guessing that that's part of the solution.
Absolutely,
So,
that's
right.
right, that's right. And the witnessing of it eventually depletes it.
Mm.
It doesn't have the power it has in the beginning. It depletes it. It's interesting, when fear arises, if you don't turn away from it and just stay with it, but be careful that no thoughts are moving, just stay with the sensation, it's very important what happens. You do get to the other side of it. And if you stay with it long enough, but without the thoughts moving, there's another breakthrough that happens. So when fear arises, instead of analyzing it or dwelling on it so that it gets larger, you add more images to it. If you can just stay with the feeling of it without the movement of any thought, that's awareness shining a spotlight. Back up. When you see fear and there's thoughts are moving, that's the me looking at itself. But when you stay with fear and no thoughts are moving, you're just staying with the sensation, that's awareness shining the spotlight. And you stay with it as long as you can tolerate it.
So can you do that
Let it go.
anywhere? In the office, in the gym, or do you have to make a special focus?
No, you
Space,
just
yeah.
stop for a moment. I mean, if someone's sitting across from you at your office, I don't know that you'll be able to do that. But in a private moment, and that can be in the office, in the gym, wherever you are, in the supermarket, if you stop for a minute and just feel that sensation and have awareness that no thought is moving, it even gets stronger, and then it withers.
Can you give an example of no thought? You're just feeling the physical sensation
Yes.
of the trembliness and the dark, cold anvil-like heaviness in your
Yes.
chest.
Yes,
And so when a thought comes, tell me an example of one.
No, you're there with the feeling. Just now, look, do now. Stay with the feeling, whatever it is, right now. Right now. Now, no thought occurred. And now, 3 seconds later, a thought occurred that no thought occurred. But for 3 seconds, there was nothing. There was emptiness and the sensation that was in the body.
So let's say I had the fearful sensation, I was aware of having the fearful sensation, I was very overlapped moment to moment with it. And then a thought came. So what I was asking was, what kind of a thought are we thinking would then come? For example, I'm really feeling afraid now. Oh my God, I remember this feeling from when I was 4. I've always had this feeling.
There you go.
The reason I'm having it is my dad didn't come home from
That's
the
right.
World War II on time, or
That's
whatever
right.
it was.
That's right.
Okay.
There it is. That's it. All those thoughts are the me, and all those thoughts are the belief in a me.
And the defense of the me.
And the defense
Because I'm feeling a sense of like, well, of course I feel this way. My father didn't come home from fighting, the Second World War
there
in
you go.
time.
That's right. There you
Okay,
go.
all right.
So there it is. All those, and that's part of the story. That's part of the images.
And that feeds the fear,
Oh my,
obviously.
yes, my dear.
And defends its right to be there.
That's right.
Okay, all right, now I'm getting it.
That's
Thank you.
right.
I mean,
Those thoughts are the fear.
Okay.
But can they also release the fear? Because you see, oh, that's just all this conditioning. That's why.
Well, that's what Freud would say, but what would the Moschettas and Drs Moschetta say?
Those thoughts are the fear. We would have to see if in staying with it, suddenly there was a sense of peace. That sense of peace will come either because there's suddenly the insight. This is part of the conditioning, but that came from awareness. See, the peace will come from awareness. The fear comes from the me.
Interesting.
And we have the equipment. We are the equipment. We are the awareness, the witnessing awareness. It's the identity shift. We've identified with this limited, constricted me, with my history, my hurts, my wounds, my fears, the images. And that's not even what we are, because we're able to see it. What is it that sees? The seeing. Not the perceiver, the me. Not what is perceived, thoughts from the me, but the perceiving, the inging. Do you see the difference?
I have a question.
Yeah.
One's walking along, and a tiger jumps out of the bushes.
Ah, yes.
And that's my ego question about, one can decide to not defend against a tiger, that's an option, but if one wants to live, that the ego has a help in that way.
You don't need the ego for that. In fact, if that happens, you're not going to have the ego.
That's true.
There's not going to
Thought
be
will
anything.
happen, yes.
There won't be anything, and you'll know what to do.
And so that's kind of,
Yes.
okay, good point,
Yes.
right.
When if the thought comes in, what do I do? Now we've got a problem.
Right, that's gonna slow things down.
That's right. That's right. So you come to disregard your desires and fears, concepts and ideas, and live by truth alone. concepts and ideas. Now, you know, we all, we're living by concepts and ideas, right? What does it mean to live by truth alone? That means you have to give up your beliefs. No beliefs. No concepts, no ideas. Not the,
Right.
you know, not the,
Not the concepts and ideas I need to
yes.
run my life.
No, that's right. But all those beliefs, and mainly the beliefs that you have about yourself.
So what's really happening is you're replacing this old antiquated set of beliefs with a new set of beliefs, but
No.
it's still a belief.
No belief. There's no belief. Because it's real. It's not a belief in something, it's real, it's what you are. You're changing into your own experience. What is your experience in this moment without any belief, without an opinion, without a conclusion, without a concept of anything? Empty, open. You are. And let then thought be a pointer to truth. Not to the me. Because that's not real and it's not true. It's based on the past, on memory. Beliefs are memory. What must it be like to function? I don't mean memory, you have to know how to drive a car and what, I don't mean that. I mean memory of how I've been wounded and now you're speaking to me this way and I'm wounded again. You know what I mean? That kind of, what is it like to be free of all that? To be totally free of that. I don't need any beliefs. I just need clarity. And clarity is not going to come if I'm looking through the eyes of my ego, my me. Because then it's going to be based on my opinion and my beliefs and my conclusions and my judgments. And so how can there be clarity? How can I see another person through that veil? How can I know what right action is in the moment through that veil? I don't need any beliefs.
Do you believe if you can reach that pinnacle, that you can sustain keeping the old beliefs or any that constantly are filtering in with all the stimulus that's hitting us all the time, and the time it's taken us to really cement, hold those beliefs together for some weird sense of survival?
But why do I need them?
So they're all just gone.
Well, what do I need them for? Why do I need to, what do I need the belief? I mean, that's a real question.
But
What do I need it for?
You know, the idea of a belief in yourself is so compelling. You know, take any endeavor, any act, the politician who's going to go out and give a speech, the athlete who's going to go now contest in the mile run, or the applicant who's going to go face a big job interview, and they say, so how are you feeling about this? Do you think you can do this? And the guy says, yeah, I believe in myself. But actually, if you look, it's probably not so much a belief in oneself as it is, I think if you look carefully, it's more a trusting in my abilities.
Yeah.
Right? So if I've practiced running the mile for 6 months, well then yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do this because I have trust in the capacity that I've already demonstrated. So lots of times it's really maybe the language gets blurred, but
Yes,
it's really
the
just
language
a
does,
belief
that's
in my demonstrated capacities, and that's more a fact than a belief,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And
right?
maybe
That's,
it's even a belief that they could leave the me out and not succumb to fear and just be a.
say again. Ruth?
Yes,
Maybe it's a belief that they can leave that me out of it and not
Yeah.
succumb to fear or
Yes,
the lower
that's,
ego and be able to be a channel.
well, my confidence in running the mile might also be, in addition to the fact that I've run it successfully in the past, it might also, I feel confident because I know that I won't get lost in defeatist thought patterns. I've
Right.
also
Trained.
proven to myself that I can let those go. They no longer have a grip on my mental capacity.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what the witnessing consciousness is. It's seeing these garbage thoughts.
And I guess, interesting is that you brought, I mean, all these professional athletes that are operating at the highest level, they certainly have to demonstrate an ability to not get lost in thought.
Absolutely.
When you just missed a 4-foot putt on the 16th hole, and now you're on the 17th hole standing over a 5-foot putt, you better not be thinking about the 4-foot putt you missed, right? Or else you're sunk. So they have a demonstrated capacity to not get caught in that. And then their performance comes more to their natural capacity.
Yeah, it's really important. See, that's the meditation, is moment by moment witnessing when these trapped thoughts come, defeatist, as you said, and seeing it, and not doing anything. Certainly not acting on it, and allowing them to leave like they came. That's true meditation. Because then you are the witnessing awareness.
So this golfer that you hypothesized in this Nisargadatta world would be standing there over the 5-foot putt, actually not having a preference to make the putt and not having a preference to not be afraid of not making the putt.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Am I right? Am I getting it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
There would be no thought either way.
Right,
So you're more at one with the.
right.
So he's, excuse me, honey?
Well, you're more at one with the ball.
Exactly.
That's
in the
right.
moment,
That's
the moment,
it.
in the
That's
space.
That's right. That's just it.
And
That's
that's
right.
often how they describe themselves. You ever see these after game interviews when they have this?
Oh, right.
They're,
Oh, yeah.
I was just totally in the moment.
They look almost
Yeah.
surprised, they're like,
Right.
oh, how did
You
that
know,
happen?
That's right.
All I'm thinking about, I'm not thinking about anything but getting the ball in the hoop, getting the ball in the
That's
hole,
right.
or whatever.
So it's like a
So-
joyous thing.
Yes.
They have joy.
Yeah.
It's yoga.
Yeah, it
That's
really is.
right.
Yoga, right?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I can't tell you how thrilled I was when the first sentence you read had the word yoga in it. I went, oh, I'm so happy now.
That's yoga.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. That's it.
And so in a sense, we have those moments sometimes,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we're not even aware that we're having them.
That's
It's in the zone when you're in the zone.
It's
Yeah.
just when you're doing something and you're not, you know what I'm
That's
saying,
right.
you're, for whatever your motivation is,
Yes.
it's a pure motivation to, this is a thing of beauty and I want to arrange these
Yes.
flowers. Not because it reflects good on me, but because if the flowers go there, they'll look a certain way or something like that.
Isn't it
So-
good to have awareness of that too? There's a good positive.
Well, then you're in it.
Right.
Right. but
See,
you-
now you're in it. Then that's the one.
Right.
That's the one. So in that planting, you were one with the flowers, one with the earth, one with the. Now you're one. And that's your true nature.
It's good to remember that and have awareness that that happened, and so.
Oh, yes.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
to
yes.
not just have awareness of the challenging things, so they witness them and then they can dissipate, but also the good things too.
Oh, yeah, then you're one to, yes, to know that.
Hard to say.
See, that's why this is not new to anybody, really. You've all know it, you've all felt it. That feeling of oneness, that feeling of complete peace and joy but there's no me, there's nothing pulling at you or tugging at you. You're just an effortless oneness.
Don't you think that's why people often say they feel it most in nature? Because nature doesn't have me's. They're not reflecting back at you.
That's right,
It's
yes.
just, and I feel it with
yes.
animals, the same way. 'Cause
Absolutely.
they're just being creatures without.
That's right.
They're like that animals.
That's right.
They seem to have that.
Yes, that's that oneness in beauty. That's the beauty of nature. And it's the oneness in innocence with an animal. In innocence. That oneness in innocence. There is such beauty in that. That's right. He goes on and he says, the questioner says to him, well, what may be the reason that some people succeed and others fail in yoga? Is it destiny or character or just accident? Nisargadatta, nobody ever fails in yoga. It is all a matter of the rate of progress. It is slow in the beginning and rapid in the end. When one is fully matured, realization is explosive. It takes place spontaneously or at the slightest hint. The quick is not better than the slow. Slow ripening and rapid flowering alternate. Both are natural, both are right. Yet all this is so in the mind only. As I see it, there really is nothing of the kind. In the great mirror of consciousness, images arise and disappear, and only memory gives them continuity. And memory is material, destructible, perishable, transient. On such flimsy foundations, we build a sense of personal existence. Vague, intermittent, dreamlike. This vague persuasion, I am so-and-so, obscures the changeless state of pure awareness and makes us believe that we are born to suffer and to die. I'll read it again. The great mirror of consciousness, in the great mirror of consciousness, images arise and disappear, and only memory gives them continuity, right? Mm-hmm. And memory, what is memory? It's material, and therefore it's destructible, perishable, transient, right? On such flimsy foundations, we build a sense of personal existence. That's what we build the me on. Vague, intermittent, dreamlike. This vague persuasion, I am so-and-so, right? I am this, I am that, right? Or, I'm a teacher, or I'm an artist, or I'm a gardener. We're identifying ourselves by the things we do. This obscures the changeless state of pure awareness and makes us believe that we are born to suffer and to die. Because once we believe that that's all we are, then obviously with that comes birth and death. But when there's the realization that we are the witnessing consciousness, that we are the unlimited consciousness, not the limited consciousness, and that we were never born, and so we can never die. That's our true nature. The body will die, but not awareness. And you are that. You are that.
Well, some people might say, I'm fond of my memories.
Okay.
I like remembering where I grew up and the things that happened to me. I like feeling nostalgic and remembering the past. I even like to go and get out the old photographs and look, oh, there's the old neighborhood. Oh, and remember then when that happened. It leaves a nice sense of continuity about my life. It helps me make sense of who I am and where I've been.
Yeah, and like for families who have like someone with Alzheimer's and they don't recognize them or they don't remember any of the shared memories, it seems like a big loss.
Well, the only thing with Alzheimer's is that when they lose the memories, they also lose like current functionability. Because the opposite argument to the one I just made about like holding on to my fond memories is if I could have social amnesia. If someone right now took away my memories, how would I really be diminished? I'm not taking away any of my mental capacities, but suppose I got a virus and I developed social amnesia. I sit here today, I don't know where I was born.
Happens to people, right?
I don't know.
Amnesia.
I don't know what my family background is. I only know what my immediate surroundings are and my extended family. I can't remember any of my past. Right? How compromised would I be?
Would you be almost egoless?
Well, to
Might
a lot,
not.
yeah.
Might not.
Might
Facebook.
not. Some people
Well,
are very frustrated.
I would not have an image of
Would not have-
myself,
right.
right?
But you might create a new image.
Oh, I'm not creating a new one, but I wouldn't have a
Create an
past
You
image.
wouldn't have
No.
a past.
That's right, but you see, so don't take away your memories. Look in your albums. Well, why do you have to identify that? Why do you have to identify with that?
Because if I don't identify and I look at the pictures,
No,
I
no,
will
no,
know
no,
they
no.
were.
I know. No. I don't identify in terms of that's what I am. I could say yes. That certainly this is the story that's associated with this particular body. But who am I? What am I? Why am I giving life? Why am I giving life to a false me? That's a story. It's like watching a movie. Fine, there's enjoyment in watching a movie. It's fun to watch a movie. But I have to identify with that movie.
So I'm
Because
gonna.
that same memory is breaking your heart and causing you to
Yes,
suffer.
I know.
And solidifying your me.
Yes, definitely. So I'd have to be able to play the old home movies, right? And watch them as a disinterested observer. Because what would it be to not identify? Then I'm watching it as if it was someone else.
Well, it's this particular body had that particular story.
Mm-hmm.
But what am I? Look, he says so beautifully,
I think
right?
what you're saying is I could see that particular body had that particular story, but there's no emotional investment in it.
That's right.
I'm not invested
That's
in
right.
it.
That's
It holds,
You can be
it
like,
holds,
oh, I wish
that's
I
it
right.
holds,
looked like that.
it holds no allure for me. Maybe a cursory curiosity, but it's not poignant in the way that I'm personally invested in it.
Isn't that reaching the same description of having awareness,
Yes.
true awareness.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's
So there's an emotional detachment
right.
and a presentness to,
That's right. That's right. So when I'm looking at those albums of 20 years ago, I'm looking at them now. It's happening now. The life is now. But what we do is we go into the pictures and we go into the story and we relive that. And we've lost the now. And that doesn't mean you don't have feeling. You have more feeling. Because you're not obscured the changeless awareness.
I really wanna ask this question. When you said the body dies but the awareness never dies, is that to describe a body physically dying, but the consciousness stays alive
Of course.
somewhere?
Of course. But not the personal. Not the personal.
No, just that ability
That-
to be the perceiver,
That
to be.
that perceiving doesn't die.
Comforting.
An internal life.
Well, the consciousness that animates your being
Yes, right now.
doesn't die when the body dies, but it's not your consciousness.
But that's the personal, constricted consciousness that we identify with and think that's all we are and that's who we are. But when we discover how can that be, I can see it, then what am I? And there's a realization that this consciousness is unlimited. It's not limited just to this body. And not only that, it's one with everybody else.
What animates you and animates Jeff and Joe and me is the same animating light.
Yes.
Wasn't there a quote that you sent in the email about the bubble and the
Yes.
river?
That was
It's
wonderful.
Sort of similar, isn't it?
That's
It's a great
right. That
metaphor
that
for
came
what we're
last
talking
Sunday. I
about.
sent that.
What was it?
I thought,
Yeah, you could probably retell it better than
Oh.
I.
Should I get the computer?
oh yeah, if you get it, I'll pull it up.
It's a beautiful example of what I think they're talking
Correct.
about.
Yeah.
You're right, and he was wonderful. Wei Wu Wei.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
He was an Irish person. He was an Irishman.
Doesn't sound like
Yeah,
it.
no. He changed to this. He was brilliant, quite brilliant.
He wanted to
by
get
the
away
way,
from all that Irish Catholic drama.
Quite brilliant, quite
Why would
brilliant.
you wanna get away from that?
Here we go. It's a myriad, right? Myriad,
Yeah.
myriad. A myriad bubbles. Wouldn't it be a myriad of bubbles?
Yeah.
Yeah. A myriad of bubbles were floating on the surface of a
Slow.
stream. What are you? I cried to them as they drifted by. I am a bubble, of course, nearly a myriad bubbles answered. And there was surprise and indignation in their voices as they passed. But here and there, a lonely bubble answered, we are this stream. And there was neither surprise nor indignation in their voices, but just a quiet certitude.
Quiet certainty?
Yes, certitude. Right.
Same thing.
We are not the first group that passed
Bubble.
said we're bubbles. The other said we're the stream. How can you be a bubble without the stream? How can we be a limited consciousness bereft of the absolute larger consciousness? How can we be that's changing without a changeless background? Okay.